Here's what they don't understand. My background is radio, okay? And Jimmy Kimmel started in radio. Matter of fact, Johnny D knows Jimmy Kimmel. And they worked together at a station in Tampa, okay? So Kimmel should know this better than anybody. There are certain things that you cannot say, okay? There are certain words, FCC rules, that you have to abide by. Television, same thing. Radio, yes. If you say something so outrageous that sparks an outrage, then the FCC has to investigate it. And when he made those comments, it outraged enough people, so the FCC had to open up a case and look at it and follow the guidelines. And Sinclair and some other company, so over 200 ABC stations, says this is over the line. We're suspending him indefinitely. Okay. It had nothing to do with censorship. He went over the line. He said something that, the viewers ratted him out. And I will fight to the death when it comes to radio and TV for people to be able to exercise free speech. Say what you want. He said what he wanted to say. Somebody wrote those lines. They had, hours before the show, to change it or not do it or, but that's what he wanted to say. And I will stand here, I'll sit here and say, yeah, Jimmy, you had every right to say that. You absolutely. Here's what you don't have, though. You don't have the right to dictate the response after you say it. There are no rights for the fallout after you say what you want to say on the public airways, and that's what they are. They belong to the public. You have no control. And I've said plenty of things. They're saying it's censorship from the government. They're saying that, the FCC guy is a Trumper and, whatever. No. The FCC could easily go after all the ABC stations and fine them for those comments, which would cost millions of dollars for Sinclair that has 200 of them. And they're like, okay, that's it. You went over the line. And I know I suspect they've had many conversations and said, dude, you need to scale it back a little bit because, when I was growing up and Johnny Carson and David Letterman and whatever shows were on, they would poke fun at politicians, but they weren't blatantly mean and hateful.
It was in a fun spirit.
You get sensitive about the fact that people say he'll never take a serious controversy.
Well, I have an answer to that. I said, now, tell me the last time that Jack Benny, Red Skelton, Benny comedian, used his show to do serious issues. That's not what I'm there for. Can't they see that?
But you're not...
Why do they think that just because you have a Tonight Show that you must deal in serious issues? That's a danger. It's a real danger. Once you start that, you start to get that self-important feeling that what you say has great import. And strangely enough, you could use that show as a forum. You could sway people, and I don't think you should as an entertainer.